Hello, welcome to 30-Minute Mindfulness. I had some problems with my microphone, so I restarted and we'll see if it works now. If you're on there, let me know if you can hear my voice. I'm just going to go ahead and start and hope that we're on the same, or moving in the right direction. So today I thought we'd talk about rigidity and judgment. When we hold super rigid ideals of what we believe to be right and wrong, or good and bad, we don't leave much room for learning, growing, changing, or evolving. The more rigid our thinking, the more apt we are to judge others who think different than we do, because they don't fit into that ideal, that category that we have of right and good. Rigidity and judgment are neighbors. They go hand in hand. The more rigid we are, the more there is no other way than my way. My way is the right way. This one way that I subscribe to is all there is. Therefore, I'm right, you're wrong. Do you see the limitation in that thinking? Do you see how many people on the outside of your circle will be on the outside of your circle? How many people will not be accepted because they're not in agreement with your view? This doesn't mean we lower our standards or allow things against our inner constitution into our lives. It means we become fluid. We're open to possibility. I'm not suggesting that rigidity is the same as holding conviction about a certain belief. Conviction and passion are necessary. They're really important parts of drive and who we become. But at the same time, we want to allow for growth. We want to consider that gray area. As we walk with a humble approach, the consideration arises that it is possible that there's more to this perspective or this story than I can see right now from where I currently stand. A curious relationship, on the other hand, allows us to look at another person's perspective without the need to compare ourselves. There's not right or wrong. The goal is understanding. We listen out of care and concern for them and their experience, not so that we can convince them of our view or defend what we believe to be true. In a curious mindset, I understand that the other person's perspective has nothing to do with me. It's how they make sense of the world. It doesn't diminish me in any way, even if it's not in agreement with my view. If I think other people need to agree with me in order for me to be okay, I have gravely limited my ability to express acceptance. I have shut out a tremendous amount of people and relationships from my life. If I know, in quotes, what is right, and I draw my line in the sand that I never intend to cross, I'm shutting off everyone who lives on the other side of that line. In my judgment, that line in the sand diminishes everyone on the other side. Rigidity is when we choose to dig our heels into the sand and say, no, I'm right, you're wrong, shut up, I don't even want to hear it. We don't seek to understand or acknowledge the gray area. We don't seek to understand the other person's experience or why, the meaning behind it. Clearly, this thinking does not create any sense of connection or unity. It causes division, misunderstanding, strife, rebelliousness, and even war. Now, we all experience rigid thinking some of the time. Maybe we're unwilling to go to that certain restaurant because we had a bad experience there 3 years ago, and every time we think about it, it just comes back. Maybe we're unwilling to listen to a friend's ideas about a differing opinion because it's always the same story, the same. Now, there's nothing wrong with any of these scenarios, and there's nothing wrong with choosing not to participate. It's when our rigid thinking is unconscious that it can keep us very stuck. So we all judge things all day long, all of the time. Judgment is part of life. Oh, look, it's a beautiful day out. There's not a cloud in the sky. The sun is shining. That's a judgment. Oh, the food is good or bad. That's a judgment. So the idea behind self-awareness is not to eradicate our judgment. That is not possible, nor is it good for us. We seek to create an awareness around our judgment. So one, we would want to understand, we want to have awareness of the judgment itself, Oh, look at that, I'm judging. Wow, look at that, it's there. Judgment mind is there. 2, awareness of the underlying emotion that is propelling the judgment. What am I afraid of? What's going on for me? What's underneath this? Now, when we talk about, judgment of the sun or the food, that's not something we're going to be afraid of. So as we become more aware of what our judgments, where we're having these judgments, then we dive into the troublesome emotions that lie underneath. And that's where we get into where we feel fear or afraid or threatened, or, we feel that pushback for whatever reason. So if I'm aware that I'm judging a person or a situation, I will be unaware of my reactions to that person or the situation. For example, if I'm not aware that I'm in judgment mode, I'm not going to realize that I'm dismissive towards Sue at work because I judge her to be incompetent because her desk is always messy. My judgment of Sue will limit my ability to see her gifts because I'm unaware that it's her messy desk that's causing me to see her as incompetent. Oftentimes, rigid responses are fueled by fear. The fear of difference, the fear that in order for my opinion to be right, everybody else must agree with me. Can you see the folly in that? Can you see what happens if I need everybody to agree with me? I'm going to alienate a lot of people out of my life. When we feel like we're acting congruent with our inner constitution, we allow flexibility to govern our choices. We are in a state of evolution, creativity, and growth. We are able to hear and understand another person. We're able to dialogue in peace, even when vastly different opinions are held. So with that, I'd like to invite you to close your eyes and let's just meditate for about 20 minutes. And then I'll ring the bell when we close. So find a posture that's comfortable. Something that's upright, rigid, or not rigid. Something's upright but not rigid. Kind of ease into that. We often say strong back, soft front. And just take a few deep breaths to bring you present to this moment right here, right now. Let your body be at rest and let your breath be natural. Just let that natural in and out flow. There's nothing magical about our breath. It's just a way to anchor to the present moment. It's just a sense of home base. So we just come back to the breath whenever we get lost in a thought or an emotion, or maybe the story or emotion gets too big or starts to feel overwhelming. We just come back to the breath. As we sit in this present moment and we reflect on rigidity, is there a situation that comes to mind where you feel that sense of rigidity or that pushback? Maybe it's towards a specific person, or maybe it's toward a situation, maybe at work or with family. When you notice that sense of rigidity or pushback, where do you feel that in your body? Maybe your shoulders tighten or your neck. Maybe you feel kind of that discomfort in that area of your heart. Where do you feel it in your body? When we notice those feelings in our body, that is an act of self-awareness. That is an act of understanding more deeply how our body communicates with us. So if you feel a tightness in your neck or your shoulders, then you know when you feel that in life, that there's something might be underneath. There might be something you're pushing back against. And you can dive into that. So that's why we ground into our body. We ground into the feeling that arises. So just sit with that feeling in your body just for another 30 seconds or so. Now, when you think about that situation or that person that you're feeling a sense of resistance towards or rigid feelings, what's going on for you? Do you feel defensive or quickly frustrated? So what's underneath that? Are you feeling threatened? Maybe there's some kind of competition at work, or there's something that is easily to feel this person's going to take over your position or your stature or your place. Are you feeling threatened? Are you feeling afraid? Maybe you're afraid of, maybe there's fear from just sitting with that differing view. Maybe that their view is too different from yours, that it might be bad or harmful to you in some way. What is it? Now ask yourself again, what's underneath that? Dig deeper. What are you afraid of? Or what are you threatened by? Or what feels scary? Keep unraveling. when you think about letting go of that rigid stance, what is it that's threatened inside you? What does that rigid stance protect? Now, can you allow whatever arises, can you just be with that? Whether it's fear, being threatened, anxiety, whatever it is, can you just let that be? Just notice it. We don't want to push it away. We don't want to hide from it. We want to go, oh wow, look at that. That's there. That's there. Acknowledge and just sit with it. It's okay if it's uncomfortable. That's part of the deal. A lot of the time it's more comfortable to push things away. So with mindfulness, we learn to sit with. This allowing is an expression of what lives in our unconscious, and this is what helps us unravel some of the knots that we experience as stress or anxiety or depression. So just sit with that for these few minutes. And as you sit with whatever it is that you're allowing to be with, where do you feel that in your body? Is it in your tummy now? Has it moved? Is it in your heart? Do you feel tightness in your throat? Where is it in your body? Now, as we come back to nurture our sense of being with these sometimes very difficult emotions or feelings, just give yourself whatever you need to feel a hug. Maybe wrap that warm blanket of comfort around your shoulders, in your mind, and just hold it around your body like a hug. As we sit with these difficult emotions, we walk toward this discomfort. We walk toward this edge. And as we sit with it, our edge kind of pushes out. It expands. So now we just come back and we nurture ourselves. We be our own best friend. We become our own best friend in this moment. Acknowledge your courage. Acknowledge your strength. Acknowledge your willingness to understand and have deeper self-awareness. And now, for the last few minutes, let's just let all of our thoughts fade back and just come back to the stillness of your breath. And I'll ring the bell in a couple minutes and just let that in and out, that present moment awareness, just rest in that for these final moments. Thank you for being here. I hope you have a wonderful day. I'll see you next week.